onto a target. So they may look flimsy, they may look light, they may not look menacing, but believe me, a click and a few words down the radio could unleash hell on an enemy.
This is a really, really nice pairing, because although it's not one of the themes that we're marking at this year's RAF Cosford Airshow, both of these types served during the Korean War. The Auster AOP6s of the RAF were some of the very few RAF aircraft deployed to that theatre. It was mainly the Fleet Air Arm of the Royal Navy that fought in Korea, but apart from some short Sunderlands operating out of Japan, Sunderland flying boats, Austers were heavily engaged in the variant, or Alpha Liaison variant, of the J3 Cub.
The 1st Royal Air Force Squadron deployed the Auster, number 615 Squadron, a reserve squadron, back in November 1942. And the aircraft, different marks of the aircraft were heavily involved in the rest of the Second World War, through Italy, France, obviously
Bird dog.
And clearly you can see this is a Cessna. It has that family resemblance that you still see in general aviation today at your local airfield. So this aircraft dates from the late 1940s. I love the comparison, same role but very different design philosophy between the two.
Yes, and they're giving us a very effective modern design based upon the civilian Cessna 305. It was a really tough design, the Bird Dog. In 1952, one US Army Bird Dog had 12 feet of its starboard wing shot off by anti-aircraft fire, but was repaired and flew again the next day. I'm not sure that would be something that modern airworthiness authorities would look kindly on. It was redesignated the O1 in 1962, and most of them were turned over to the US Air Force because the US Army was increasingly becoming a helicopter force. They were then so heavily used in the Vietnam War as forward air controllers, and he said directing air strikes by the likes of F-100 Super Sabres, F-4 Phantoms and so forth. Also as reconnaissance platforms. It came at a price though. 469 Bird Dogs in all were lost in Vietnam, where they were also flown by the US Marine Corps, by the South Vietnamese, and by various clandestine operators like the CIA's Air America.
We can't overestimate how dangerous this role was. They were literally picking up stones and seeing what's underneath them. Let's fly slowly, see if the enemy starts shooting at us.
Bird Dog, which is now joining it back in formation, is an absolutely outstanding restoration. It's one of the oldest Bird Dogs still around. It dates from 1951. Its Korean War service is not that well known, but it's thought to have been reassigned subsequently to the Japan Ground Self-Defense Force, and it remained in Japan through the 1970s. It then spent some time later, around 35 years, towing gliders in Hawaii. Then in 2017, a pair of airline pilots, Shona Bowman and Laurie Gregg,